Hey there, this is Michelle Epperson with Designwell Studios, and today I've got BD Erickson from Satic, USA, and we are super happy to talk with him about everything about dirty electricity, about solar, filtration, and all of the goodness that his company and he has done for all of the homes and buildings throughout his experience. So welcome and happy to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. So some things I've sent you a little list of questions, some top of mind. These are just guidelines, and I'd love to be able to, you know, be able to feel free to free form it a little bit. But some to get to the meat of the matter, I've been testing people's homes for EMFs for several years as a building wellness designer, and now do most of my stuff virtually. But I have a lot of clients who come to me who are not feeling great in their environment and they want to level up their home health. And I recommend Satic filters for people who have dirty electricity, who they're finding out with their meters, as well as if they've got solar. And so I'm just so happy to have connected with you and your company. And I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Well, I appreciate that. So, nobody wants to hear about me. I get it. Yet I do have a bit of an origin story. And I think it takes that to really get because I did not set out to be in environmental mitigation by any stretch. My
Yeah,
son and
how
I
did you get
moved,
started?
my son and I moved from Honolulu, Hawaii to Missoula, Montana. And about a week into our new home, he and I are sitting on the deck and we look up and we noticed, like, in harmony, that the biggest power lines in our entire city, I'm not speaking hyperbole, truly, the largest power lines in our whole city went right through our backyard, almost over our house. And we had to laugh because we're both male, we're both hyper visual. How we went through the process of buying a home and moving into it and missed these lines, to this day he and I have a chuckle at how we missed them.
I
So
I can relate to that. So I'll tell you my story after you finish yours.
so we also joked that we're directly under them, we wouldn't have to mow, right? Because the grass was dead all the way up and yellow on the edges. And that was a chuckle.
Oh my God.
Well, my little boy had not missed a day of school in 2 years, and had never gotten any grade other than an A. And I don't say that because I'm a great dad. I'm not claiming any of that. That's all on him. He gets that. That was just how this little guy navigated the world. Well, that continued for about a year into our new home. And after that, he started to slip a little bit. He was a little sicklier. He was a little more anxious. The teachers and counselors at school were lovely. They said, hey, your little guy is really loved by all the groups. He was awarded Student of the Month because he was holding at his own volition, holding the door for the special needs kids. He's a really neat little guy, but you've probably noticed he's not quite himself. His homework is not always done, and certainly not with the vigor it used to be. Is everything okay at home? And I said, well, we've been through some losses and every family has their ups and downs, but for the most part, yeah, it should be fine. And one of the things that was suggested, Michelle, obviously, was potentially big pharma. And I knew for me that the very last thing that I was going to do as a parent, as a single parent especially, would be putting my child on drugs. We're not going to drug my 8-year-old, right? So after some deducing what his symptoms were and talking to friends and family and counselors and hitting the old Google, it turns out that my son had a severe form of EHS, electro hypersensitivity syndrome. And the power lines over our house were miserable to him. And you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't touch it. So it was really hard to deduce. I
Yeah.
will say, for my own part, when you would stand directly under the lines, I mean, these are serious power lines. The hair stands up a little bit
Oh
and
my
you can hear the buzzing, right? But
God.
I wouldn't call it uncomfortable. Like, I don't want to be disingenuous. I
Right.
wouldn't call it uncomfortable, but you can sense it.
Right.
But when I step out from under it, I can't hear it anymore. Michelle, to him, it was debilitating. It was ringing in his ears. It was tinnitus. His skin was overly sensitive. I was accidentally driving my little kid crazy,
Oh
and I
no.
didn't know what it was. Right. So my son, my brother and I, after deducing this, did some do it yourself. We climbed in the attic and we spread out a NASA blanket
Mm.
from eave to eave, gable to gable, and we grounded it. And instantly it quieted the house for him. Now, it did not change his EHS, but it quieted that home for him. And that began a journey for me that I never saw coming,
Right.
that landed me in the conspiracy theory realm, that landed me in the tinfoil hat realm, and shaped our lives and changed our lives forever.
Oh,
They
wow.
say, you know, necessity is the mother of invention. That, Michelle, is how I ended up in the industry.
Oh my gosh, that is a fascinating and all too familiar story. How people go through something personal and they go to great lengths to find comfort and solutions and create a better life for themselves. I know for the firsthand that I've worked with thousands of people, and they just will go to they will go to every length to feel better. And good for you for taking care of your child and to harmonize your home and create a greater awareness for this, and now have a company to help people protect and harmonize their homes too. And yeah, it's not conspiracy theory at all. The meters don't lie, the people don't lie. I can't tell you how many homes that I've walked into, buildings that I've walked into. It's not the chaos of like kids running around kind of energy. It's very unsettling. A lot of people are sensitive, like myself, and that's not a bad thing. It's good to be sensitive. It's good to be able to pick up on these things as a mother, as a wife, as a friend, daughter, whoever, to help figure out and filter these things out for ourselves. But same deal. I bought a house, sight unseen. My husband went there, and it was in a safe enough area, but a radio tower was literally like, you couldn't see it, but it was on the hill behind us. And after discovering and finding these things out, we only lived there for a couple of years. But when people got closer, the houses that got closer to that tower, there was definitely clusters of cancer up there, finding out about that. And so I adhere to the precautionary principle. I'm like, if we can just adhere to that and say that, let's be protective and not wait and see, that would be a great way to live your life. That's how I've always lived my life too. So thank you for sharing your story. I really, really appreciate that. So with that, what is your definition of dirty electricity? Because I mean, there's power lines, the electrical and magnetic, right? And then there's radio frequencies. So and then there's dirty electricity that comes from a lot of that. So can you kind of break it down to a really nice, easy to
Yeah.
understand form to
Before we dive right into the science,
Sure.
I would love to kind of bring it around on, something that you said, that if you don't have health, I mean, why is the health food industry, the fitness industry, the supplement and vitamin industry, so popular? It's such a billion-dollar industry. Two things. Number one, we are experiencing as a human family more dis-ease,
Right.
if you will, than
Right.
ever in recorded history, right? And as I was building my business, I read a lot of performance books, and one of my favorites is from a gentleman named Simon Sinek.
Yes.
And he asked, what's your why?
Right.
And if you don't have health, or if you have a child that's suffering in front of your eyes, it gives you a hell of a why.
Yep.
And if you have a why like that, then I've always said you can build the pyramids, right? Because
Nothing stopping you.
you're driven to do it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's on my vision board for years, as I was relegated to conspiracy, as I was relegated to tinfoil hat, that someday this truth could be out there, and that we as a team, like what you and I are doing right now, drag this from the pseudoscience into the mainstream science.
Right.
Because the reality that pollution, EMFs, dirty electricity are bad for you, I'm sorry, they're beyond intelligent debate. They are beyond intelligent contestation.
Right.
How bad for you? Boy, we get to have a discussion about that. They're not as immediately harmful as stepping in your propeller, right? That's really immediately harmful. But are they as harmful or more so than constantly eating fast foods, too much alcohol, cigarettes? You pick, I would argue more so. And as you were saying with the tower, you couldn't see the tower, it's moved there, and now you're suffering some kind of dis-ease. So with that on it, dirty electricity, answering your question, has quite a few definitions. I suppose sometimes it depends on who you ask. And if you ask two people and you get a different answer, it doesn't necessarily mean that one's right or one's wrong, or one's being truthful or untruthful, because alternating current, AC, what we use, Nikolai Tesla, God love him, has some attributes. It has volts, amps, watts, harmonics, interference, distortion, electromagnetic fields, power factor, primary frequency, Ohm's law of resistance, etc. So there are a few things, Michelle, that could be out of harmony, that could be out of a standard, that could be considered dirty electricity.
Right.
I think for our conversation, what we're really talking about is the aspects of dirty electricity that might be damaging to either equipment or the biological world.
Exactly.
Right? The biological world. And that creates that electromagnetic field. And that electromagnetic field has subsequent radiation. It's well documented. Now, you and I know that if we're going to talk about something that's bad for people, because of the FDA, we've got to be very careful about what we say. Yet it's most well documented, I would argue, on dairy cows, greenhouses, and grows. Dairy cows are so sensitive. Like, I didn't know this as a little boy. No dairy cow has ever been bitten by an electric fence. That's not how they work at all. That dairy cow will not even step in a puddle within 6 feet of an electric fence. They don't like it. They don't go anywhere near it. That's how it works. Because these creatures that we might call simple can feel it and don't go near it. And I've seen pictures in greenhouses and grows, indoor grows, like in Canada, where you can see the strawberries, the plants, the avocados growing towards the water, towards the light, towards the nutrition, and away from the dirty electricity. And I wrote a brilliant article by a botanist in Vancouver that said one of the first things you want to do if you want big, healthy, juicy strawberries is have clean electricity.
Nice. Oh, I'd love to be able to reference that on our podcast. So we could
I'll send that to you when we're done, because it's brilliantly written, and it would be hard to intelligently argue it.
Okay.
So with that being said, I know I'm not a strawberry. I know I'm not a dairy cow, but I'm biological.
Yes.
Right? I am in family, in kin, in some ways, with the whole natural world.
Right.
And our natural world's under attack. Bees, trees, me's, I say. So there's a place here in Western Montana that I love to go, Salmon Lake. It's about an hour and a half drive. And I've been going there my whole adult life. 25, 30 years I've been going there. And there's a couple places I would stop on the way to scrape the bugs off my windshield. There's so many bugs going up because I'm going up in summertime to enjoy the lake, and I've got to stop and clean the bugs off.
That's a thing.
At least once, either going or coming. Each way, I had to stop at least once. I can go 3 times now, Michelle, and never get the bugs off my windshield.
I know. We noticed that. My husband and I have a motorcycle, and we would go and take trips. We went up to Vancouver, Canada, here from Portland, and we would go traveling and rent motorcycles and go throughout. And we noticed that in the metro areas, there's no bugs, even on our windshield. Even when we take road trips in our cars, like this, nowhere. But I remember then when we went to Glacier for our honeymoon, and a lot of bugs in the more of the rural areas and things like that too. So it has decreased over the years. Facts. I've noticed.
I'm a motorcycle rider too. Bugs in the teeth was an old joke that you would tell
on your windshield.
bug eater, right? In a motorcycle, your screen would have it, right? That was part of it, cleaning off your screen.
Yeah.
And the lake that I'm speaking of is about an hour south of Glacier Park. That used to be so covered in bugs. You'd have to clean your motorcycle windshield. And so it's something, those are some things I think that the average intelligent person, if they're keeping their eyes open, can see the effects of the electrified world on the biological and natural world. And
so the most important thing is to figure out, I mean, we can't do much on the outside, but we can do a lot to our home environment, right? That's the whole thing. What can we control? And what can we feel good that we have peace of mind about? And I think, like I mentioned to you, we're getting solar, and I took a pause going, okay, I feel in my gut, this might affect my nervous system, all the stuff that I know. I'm going through some health
Yeah.
issues and from mold exposure. And so I'm like, okay, talking to you talk, and I want to hear more
Yeah.
about the static solar filter, and I'm super excited to document this and let people know that they are a solution, even though if they are, electrically sensitive, or if they have concerns about this. I mean, we have to do what's right for people, place, and planet, right? And to support those three elements at the same time, for sure.
Absolutely. And you can do so without dealing or trading in fear. You can do so without getting paralyzed in fear. Once you've got some education, that's how you take your power back.
I love that.
Knowing where it comes from. We're not dealing in fear. We're empowering people to know, where's it coming from?
That's your new
What's
tagline. That's
where
your
are my culprits?
Yeah.
Right? Where are my culprits? And then ideally you turn them off, or you don't live next to them, or you use them sparingly. It's like, I have Wi-Fi, I have an iPhone, I have two iPhones. I can't move to Oregon and compost my hair. In fact, it doesn't even have an appeal to me. I'm a tech, right? I'm a solar nerd. I'm a power systems engineer. This is the world I live in, but I do it thoughtfully. So, do I have Wi-Fi at the house? Well, we do have Wi-Fi in the house, but we don't leave it on. We turn it on. We hardwire the things we can. We update our phones. We download Shrek. We have a normal life. I'm a normal dad, right?
You're
But then
living in a modern world.
once our apps are up to date, you turn it off. You don't sleep in it, right? So
use your phone when it's plugged in.
Oh, so here's a meter. It's a very famous meter right here, tri-field meter from Alpha Labs. These guys are in Utah. It's American made. I don't make it. I'm pitching it because I love it. I'm pitching it because I use it. Okay. And it's got the electromagnetic field, the electric field, the magnetic field, and the RF field. If I put it against my phone, when my phone is on but not charging, I'll get some pretty sizable numbers. You plug the phone in, it goes off the charts.
Yeah.
I put it on my laptop when my laptop's running off battery. Oh, it doesn't like it. It's on there. But you plug it in, it goes off the chart. Why? Well, a wave has two attributes: how much energy it has and what frequency it's at. And I'll explain both of those in a second. But when it's running off its battery, the energy that it has is only what's possessed in the battery. That's all the energy it can give you, the energy that it possesses. It cannot give what it does not possess, right? When I plug it in, it has an unlimited amount of energy, if you will, now coming over the grid.
That's why it's so hot, too.
That's why it's so hot. Do not engage your devices when they are plugged in. When you get low, go plug in your device, take your butt outside and ground. Take yourself outside, take off your shoes, heck, lay in the grass, hug a tree, do you, recharge you for a minute, and then go back, unplug your device, your phone, whatever, and engage it. Don't have it by your bed. Don't have it by your bed plugged in. I know so many people that at night they put their phone, they plug it in. Well, I need it. It's my alarm clock. Well, let's all pitch in and get you an alarm clock that runs on a DC battery, for God's sakes. I think we can get one for $9. Let's all chip in, right?
$10, yeah.
Turn your devices off. Turn off the Wi-Fi at night. So 90% of the things that I think you and I can teach people, it's free and it's common sense. Yeah. You and I are not here to sell crap. We're not here to scare people. We're here to inform people. And most of the stuff that's really impactful is free. Number one, know where the culprits are and use them sparingly, use them intentionally. Yeah. And keep them out of your space. And so a wave has two attributes. A wave is energy. How hard is it hitting you? It's number one. And number two, how frequently does it hit you? Here are some easy examples. So you and I are sitting at the lake and a ski boat goes by. Well, what happens? It creates a wave. That wave is about a foot high. That's how much energy it has. And it hits every couple seconds. It's quite soothing. I can sleep on the beach like a baby. Now, I've also lived on Oahu and on the North Shore. That wave, it seems like it sucks out a block. It's as tall as a skyscraper. It has massive energy, right? And it crashes, but it doesn't crash that frequently.
Yeah, why
so energy is how much power the wave has. That's number one. And number two, how many times does it hit the beach? Okay, those are your two things. Okay, now the energy will disperse over time. So the closer you are to it, the more energy you're absorbing. That's number one. So having your laptop on your person, having it on your lap, having your phone next to your head. No, no, no. Create some space. And number two, how often is that wave hitting you? An AM radio wave from tip to trough is a block long. So it's not hitting you that much. Now, an FM radio wave is about 6 feet. It's hitting you about 8 times as fast. Most of our technology, though, 4G, 5G, these are millimeter waves. Forget
Well,
a block.
also
This is
5G is a small cell microwave or
it's microwave. It is. It's a microwave. It's a small wave. It's and I
it's
personally
much
to be a bioweapon. And think about who wants you connected. Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Apple. These are the biggest, most powerful companies in the world, and they don't want you connected. They need you connected.
Well, it's also nano, right? I mean, it's from like regular connection versus nano. It goes faster and deeper, and it's definitely much more. And so yeah, I often tell my clients and my family, I'm like, turn your 5G off on your phone, switch it to LTE, and because you don't need it. It's not faster. It's really for self-driving cars and for downloading movies, really, in this large scheme of things. It really is. Do you agree?
And it's incredibly damaging to the biological. And two things. Number one, do you really need Shrek downloaded that much faster? I mean, really? And is it really just a convenience so that you can download Shrek faster? Does someone love you so much? They love you so much that they want you to download your movie faster. Maybe something else, right?
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
something
yeah.
else. And if you remember, so I'm old. I remember being in the car in town. You had FM. You got out of town, driving to Lincoln, Nebraska, out the middle of the cornfield. You had AM, because the smaller the wave is, the more easily it's disrupted. So if we're down to a millimeter wave now, you got to be close to that tower. So two things, that's more damaging to the biological, and the tower has to be closer. So now the towers are coming right into our schools. They're coming right into our neighborhoods. People say they don't sleep. Who sleeps? I know people that haven't slept good in years. It's not just a matter of getting 8 hours in the rack. It's, are you getting that good, peaceful, restful, deep REM sleep? No. You want to know why? You're putting your head right by the wall. Now, what's in the wall? Your wiring. Well, where do all these signals land? They land on antennas, right? Well, if you have this much antenna, 2 feet of copper or aluminum antenna on your car, and it's getting FM and it's getting AM, the copper wiring in your house is a super antenna. And it's not just getting AM and FM, it's getting 4G, 5G, LTE, Dish Network, DirecTV, his 4G, their Wi-Fi, that printer, the FBI van. I mean, you're getting it all. Yeah. And they're landing on antennas. And then here's what we're doing in all of our wisdom. We're laying our head right by the wall, where we're right inside these fields where they have more energy, and we're not moving. So now let's pretend, remember, that wave is going to hit us, and it's going to hit us how many times? Well, if I was hitting your arm, wouldn't hurt maybe, but if I hit it in the same place over and over and over, after a while, you'd go, okay, take it easy. Now, if I move it around, well, that's a massage. Now that feels nice. I'm charging you $20. Now you're getting a massage. But if you do it in the same place, it builds up. That's when you get cellular damage. So when you lie down, two things. You're putting your head inside that 3-foot zone, and you're not moving it.
Unless you test. I mean, unless you test and unless you filter. So
okay, let's get to some solutions, right?
Yeah, like how, and it also, if you have a metal bed, that's a conduit too. Or springs in your mattress. So there's things you can do to harmonize that with a wood frame and with a natural latex mattress and pillows and whatnot. But I want to know, like, how do your filters work? Like, obviously we want to test. Yeah. We want to test to see what the levels are first with the meters, and then understanding if we have any inside wiring errors.
Yes. Look at you.
Appliances or whatnot going on, and then how to fix them without hiring an electrician to completely rewire our stuff.
Love it. Love it. So let's start fixing them. So number one, you do need a meter, and they're $150 to $200. I'm sorry, life is hard, but the nice thing about a meter, it's one and done, right? It's not like vitamins, you got to take them every month. It's one and done. You buy the meter, and you're going to identify three things really. Number one, what levels do you have? And where they're coming from. You can turn things on and off and watch this rascal go up and down. I play the game all the time. Put it on in a room, turn things on and off. You're going to see two things. Number one, what's your limit? What's your number? And what things are causing it. So at least you can turn those things off again or use them sparingly. And this is a corded meter. So this gives you a really macro view too, because all those signals that are landing on it and it's acting as an antenna, you're going to get all of them. So this is a corded meter. It plugs in and it works in harmony with a corded or plug-in filter. What this filter will do is dynamically remove all of the dirty electricity, 98, 99%, from that electrical system. So when you have a meter and you know you've got some levels, turn some things up, plug in a filter, you will get your numbers way down instantly so that you can put your head where you want it to be. That's part of it.
So
the other one is a over the wire meter. Go ahead.
the question. So I've heard that you don't want to put those filters too close to your person. That you want to, if you've got plugs around, and like obviously, like in older homes, like our home is, there's like 3 different rooms on one circuit. You know what I mean? It's like it kind of goes this way. And so you want to be able to put the filter in the area where it's going to be affecting it positively, but then not have it be too close to your person. Is that correct? Or does that matter?
So any plugged in electronic is going to create that small magnetic field. Anything plugged in electric is going to do it. So you wouldn't want even a filter by your face. Luckily, you know, they're getting most of the dirty electricity off and the magnetic field dissipates over time. But I would argue anything electric at all, especially when you're not going to be moving and you want to be at rest. Also, you don't want too many of them. Like there's a lot of filter brands, I love them. They sell you a bunch of them. No. Too much is bad for some reasons. And I want to get overly techie. Static filters were designed specifically for you to only need like 4, not 24.
Right. I don't.
There's some reasons for that, and all those filters plugged in are not good for you or your stuff. And I'm not wanting to speak disparagingly because I know that's not handsome. That's not compelling. You simply don't want too many electronic things plugged in. You start going there
Now,
as few as possible.
Right. If you could break it down on just how does the filter help harmonize and filter out the dirty electricity going on? Like say you have like, well, how do you measure it? What is the measurement?
It saturates out like a sponge. And so it absorbs all the chaotic dirty electricity out of wave, out of frequency, and harmonizes it back into just 2 primary waves, volts and amps at perfect 60 hertz, 1 primary frequency. It comes in, saturates out, and out it comes. I kind of describe it as a Brita filter. You know, when as kids, we all drank out of the hose. Nowadays, you wouldn't drink out of a puddle, right? We drink, but that's what it does. It takes all this chaos, it takes all this noise, interference, distortion, harmonics, anything that's not primary, and then out it goes. You should only have 2 waves, volts and amps. And Satic is the only filter on the line that I know of that affects both waves. Most only treat the voltage or the amperage of the current wave, pardon me, because that's where most of it lives, is on the current wave. We also filter the voltage wave.
Okay.
And most of the dirty electricity will land on neutral. And here's a good example for that. So when I was a kid, my mom would vacuum, and when she would vacuum, would put lines in Gilligan's Island, right? It would put lines in the TV, right? Or you could hear your sister's blow dryer on your radio. Don't say you can't. You can, right? And so what happens is the clean electricity comes out of the wall on what's called phase, which, so when you're looking at an outlet, when you're looking at a plug, oftentimes there's a small plug and a big one, right? There's a small blade and a big blade. Okay, the small blade is the power coming out of the wall into that device. Then it's degraded by the use of that device. Mom's Electrolux creates harmonics and distortion, and on the big blade is common or the neutral. And that common is how it got my TV clear across the room. Mom didn't climb behind the TV to plug in the vacuum. She did it where she had lots of cord space, right? Because you don't want to replug. So you need an inline filter that can remove it from the voltage wave and the amperage wave, and you want it to affect both the phase and the common for those reasons I just told you right there. And you don't want too many. The best way to get there really is to turn things off, identify your culprits.
Unplug them. Yeah, I tell them that.
Unplug them, yeah, and turn them off and plug them. And you can check for wiring errors just by removing the cover of your outlet. Don't stick anything in it. It just has the one little flathead screw in the middle. You can pull it out with the butter knife, pull it open, use a little light. And in our guide, it's free, shows you the 8 possible combinations that can be wired. And 4 of them, it still works, but how it really should be.
I'd love that guide for download. That would be amazing.
Yeah, we've got it for download, please. And on that page, wiring errors, there are things that, you could identify it in a heartbeat. And if you've got reversed neutral or ground or bonded neutral and ground, it can actually, filters can actually exacerbate it.
Interesting, because I think
It can make it worse.
I'd love to do a really cool thing. We talked about this a while, is do a walkthrough of my place with your equipment and see what we can do, because I want real world applications, because I know, like, every house there's something. No house is perfect, but you can definitely learn how to fix these, and I would love to do that with you. So, like, tell me some of the applications where people need to filter dirty electricity. Obviously, we talk about inside wiring errors, not wired correctly. Talk to us more about that.
So at the panel, oftentimes, depending on what code is, they'll mix up or bond the neutral bar and the ground bar. And on the main panel, they're bonded, but they should still be green and copper on green, white on white. And on sub panels, they should be different. And you can just pull the cover off and look. Don't touch anything, but you can look. And if you see it, you can go, okay, that's an issue. Also, what are the main culprits? Number one main culprit, I'm sorry, is the new smart meter. The new digital smart meter it has 2 ways. Number one, it's a cell tower on the side of your house. For that, you need a piece of field shield. And it puts the dirty electricity on your electrical system. So if you can get the old analog meter, that's the way to play. And nearly every utility has an opt-out, and you need to opt out, and you need to have the analog Edison meter.
They don't let, we have opted out both gas and electric meters, but they don't do analog meters anymore. They're still digital, but there's no radio frequency signals.
No connectivity, no digital connectivity. That's great. Number one. The number 2 culprit is solar energy. And I grew up in a solar household. My family manufactured solar panels in the 70s and 80s in Montana. I'm the number 1 solar dealer in Western Montana. I never meant to be the whistleblower. I never meant to disrupt the industry. There are so many families that when they get solar, they suffer like my child did. They're not sleeping, they're not eating, they've got dis-ease. And if we know it kills bugs on the windshield, we've already discussed this. What about your biome? What about your gut, man? And we're all learning right now that subsystem in our body is one of the most important aspects of health. Gut biome and parasites, and these are all affected by it, right? Again, it's beyond intelligent debate. So don't be afraid, get empowered, get brave, take your power back, know what's what. And so we don't want that connectivity of the smart meter, number 1. Number 2, if we're going to go solar, get yourself a wire inline filter mounted with the solar. And then where your smart meter is on the inside of the home, just opposite the smart meter, a piece of field shield. And with the meter, it needs to be a little bit bigger than this. With the meter, it goes to 0. You will see on this meter, which I do not make, the numbers go to 0. We've got a ton of videos. So that's all you really have to do. Number 1, know your culprits. Don't have your smart meter connected. If you're going to have solar, pretty much everybody should just get an inline filter anyways, wire in or plug in. And then opposite of your smart meter, field shield, it's 2 feet by 4 feet. You just hang it right on the opposite side. And it works for the whole house because radiation doesn't turn corners. It can't bend back around. You have sealed your house off. Sometimes if there's a big cell tower, like right behind my screen that you can't see, I've got a huge piece of this. You want to know why? There's a 5G tower right there. And there's nothing I can do. And I see it, I stare at it all day. I know it's frying me. And I take my numbers and they're off the chart. I put a piece of field shield right there. And I physically can feel it. Now, is it psychosomatic? Maybe. Psychosomatic's real. Psychosome is real as the body feels, or you think I know that's true, but meters don't lie. And I'm reasonably intelligent and I can realize.
Right.
All these things put together are not that terribly expensive. Number one. Number two, your power bill goes down a little bit. And number three, it's one and done.
Right.
Like the gym is forever.
Right.
Healthy food is forever. Organic is forever. Non-GMO is forever. Vitamins are forever. Filtering's not.
What do you recommend for
One
people
time, you're done.
like tenants? My son is moving to a place, and on the back of his where he's going to be sleeping,
Yeah,
it's in the corner, like their bed is over here,
yeah,
but in the corner is where the electricity comes in down, and then the electrical panel and smart meter are down below. Would you recommend getting one of the panels to be able
yeah.
to put that in there,
So
top
we
and bottom?
sell them all day, every day. One of our best selling things is Field Shield, and this is a demonstration piece. You put the Field Shield where you're going to sleep for two reasons. Number one, you're going to put your physical body right by it. You're not going to be moving. So get yourself a piece or two of the Field Shield and put them where you sleep.
That's perfect. And then we have a couple places in our house that most things have been grounded, and is areas where we don't spend a lot of time, but then we've moved furniture around since, and the magnetic fields are quite high, or actually the electric fields are quite high. And so I'd be interested, I would like to get some of those to see if those panels, to see if that drops it rather than having to paint. So I know the Y shield paint and all that stuff. I've had people do that and install it wrong, and then that's permanent, you know. And then if you want to use Wi-Fi in your house and you're closing things off, like that's a problem. That's a permanent situation. You can't undo that paint, right?
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
Okay, so let's talk about the products that you sell for different applications. So we talked about, you've got the unit for the solar, you have other units that you sell, you have the filters, then you have the plug-in filters, you've got the meter, and then you have the field shields. Is there anything else like?
We also make lighting. So the next culprits are things that are direct current. So we live in a world of alternating current. Anything with a battery is direct current. So your phone, your laptop, your iPad, your LEDs, these are all direct current. Well, what's that mean? Alternating current alternates. It has a sine wave up and down, in and out. It alternates. Direct current moves one way. So the way you have to have the little special cord for your phone, the little special cord for your laptop, you have to have the little cord. Well, why? Because it clips it. It lets the guy in the door, then it shuts the door behind him, because alternating current wants to go in and out.
Right.
So it goes in, it shuts the door behind him. It goes in, he shuts the door behind him. So that clipping, that strobing creates, by definition, dirty electricity.
Okay.
So, which question I was answering for that. So we have a line of products. So I know where I was going. Lighting.
Yes.
LEDs is the new thing. Incandescent's the best.
Incandescent's
the best. But if you can't get incandescent, and that's the light bulb that's 120 years old that we all grew up with, it has an anode, a cathode, and a little filament. Those actually clean electricity. They're actually a little filter, believe it or not. And they took those away, and they gave us the compact fluorescent lamp for a while, but nobody liked those. Right. And now we have the LED. Our LEDs do not create any electromagnetic field. They have no distortion. They're a couple dollars more, they're $5 or $6, I know, but they last for years. Yeah. They absolutely last for years. They're guaranteed for 3. If it burns out or fails, we'll send you a new one.
There's no mercury in it. And
no.
Whatnot. And then what
about lead? There's no mercury.
It's flicker free.
Flicker free.
That's great.
Yeah,
and then
last for years. They don't get warm.
What about full spectrum versus?
Yes, so we have the 2700 color, which is warm, that a lot of us like for living rooms, and we've got the 4,000 and 5,000 K. If you want to see true colors, do art, maybe match clothes and closets and stuff like that. If you're going to match socks and ties as a gentleman, you need some full spectrum light, because in the warm light, your burgundies turn brown. Yep. So we do offer both. But then in the living room, I think we all want a little bit rosier, a little bit. It's more gentle.
Yeah. I mean, I do amber lighting in the evenings when we turn on the lights. So I have dedicated, I'm like the kind of old school designer where we don't have Wi-Fi. Everything's wired. We do have cell phones, but we don't turn Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on. We have a cable modem and whatnot. And so, but yeah, it's living in a modern world, but yet, trying to be conscious and aware of, my cats always join me on Zoom. This is Matrix.
They know that's how mine loves to get right on my laptop.
I was gonna say too, when you said
Don't
that,
see her for an hour till I get my laptop, and then she wants to stand on it. I'm like,
I know, so you said that the bugs are dispersing away, and the cows, like, they won't go near it, but cats, if you have cats, everybody listening, cats are a magnet for magnetic fields and electric fields. They love, how many times have you been into a bookstore where you see, well, at least we have them here in Portland, the cat sleeping literally right by the computer or the laptop. And that is leukemia in cats, people. Like, don't let your cat or dog sleep next to devices and things like that. So where check your areas from where your pets are sleeping, sure, for sure. This has been super enlightening. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to get some of these products for you. Like I said, we are getting solar. I was a little wigged out. I actually pushed it out because I was, wanting to find out more information from you about how we can truly reduce our dirty electricity because it's golden now. Like, we have no dirty electricity in our place. We have definitely worked to harmonize it. We're very conscious of it. So we want to keep that way. Right. And so
this is an opportunity for us to do a really great study. So first of all,
it.
let me give you some of our products, and I really want you to use our meter.
Okay.
And before you've got solar, be thoughtful. We have a clipboard. So when you get one of our meters and one of our units, you also get a clipboard and a sheet. It identifies all your outlets.
Okay.
It asks you to do them with filter and without, and 3 times a day, because morning, afternoon, and night have very different load signatures. Let's do that in your house before the solar. And then when you get the solar, so we can really show everybody, show your audience and fellow human beings what it's really doing. No malarkey.
I love
no
it.
pitch. Then let's go ahead and use the filtering system, and I ideally have numbers lower even with solar than before. I think that'll be a fun test to do. That'll be a great before and after.
I'm so down for it. Yeah, this is I've wanted to, back in 2009, do a documentary where I was going to gut my entire home and make it a healthy environment by having people like you. I wish I had known you back then. I didn't end up doing the documentary because of the timing of the economy and whatnot. It was kind of not the best timing. But I wanted to do that. I wanted to, like, showcase these wonderful solutions and products and companies that they come in. They really have the best solutions to be able to help people live in harmony without exposing themselves to things that are unwanted, unseen, unheard, invisible, that they can't, and doctors can't connect why their health is tanking. So I love, now is the time. I've also got some exciting projects coming up that is going to be a really wonderful platform to get the education out there, to let people know and to start using your products so they can really enjoy this, enjoy their homes and their health, to be able to thrive.
That's going to be great content that I think will be fun to watch, entertaining, and people need it. So what we want to do for all the listeners that watch the podcast, we want to do a special offer, right? Anybody that goes to the store, we want to give a special code to all the listeners. Anybody that responds and wants to go online. First of all, if you want to call our offices, I'm going to be boastful for a second. I know boastful is not attractive. In fact, when we boast, it's oftentimes wanting to make ourselves look better. And in actuality, it does the opposite. Yet I'm so proud of my team. I have the people that answer the phone. One of them will probably be my son, who's worked for me since university. He knows more about the subject matter than anybody because it's firsthand to him. It's secondhand to me. I think you spoke to my father, right? Who was a solar guy in the 70s. He's a wealth of knowledge. And then just my design and engineering team, we listen to people. And so you don't have to just go on and buy something if you're not sure. You don't have to be doubtful. You can talk to somebody with a heart and ears who will hear you, share your story, will get you what you need. If they don't work, we'll troubleshoot it or refund your money happily because we want you well. And anybody that buys after the show, let them know the customer care team of the code that we're going to share. They'll get 15% off the store at checkout and free shipping.
Yeah, I have got a code with you guys already. It's Design Well 15. So that's in
Lovely.
place. Yeah, we got that.
Design Well 15. All right. Use the code. You guys use the code, save your 15%, and then shipping on this stuff is usually $50 or $60. That's a gift. Take advantage of it.
That's wonderful. I was just going to say, I appreciate you so much. And what I do as a business owner, and I have for many years, is I take a very curative approach and I build relationships with my manufacturers and companies because I want you to know who I am. I want to know who you are. If I'm going to be recommending your products and solutions to my clients who I care and love, and my family, and be able to speak to them and use them for my own family and my places, you know, that's what I do. I really take the time to develop these relationships. So I really appreciate it. It's been great getting to know you and getting to know what your company is all about. And I thank you for all of the work that you have done to really help people have the ability to have homes that can be more supportive, and the knowledge about how to do that. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
No, that's very gracious. Thank you. We're all sticking together these days as our eyes just are continually opened as we see things that we thought were good are now bad, or vice versa. We have to just stick together and share what we know and then help each other to be as happy and as healthy as we can be, especially in the electrified world.
I love it. Thank you so much. And I will post some notes about our podcast with some codes and some of the downloads that you're going to send me. And let's continue the journey. And yeah, I'll keep everyone posted on our home solar project. And yeah, we'll have that going. So thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.